welcome you all to my channel. If this is your first time of coming to my channel, thanks a lot. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, like, share and subscribe. Feel free to join us on Facebook, T Designs, and also on Instagram, T Designs. I'm going to put down the details in the description box, and you can also visit our website. We have amazing fashion illustration topics on our website. Okay, all the details are going to be in the description box below. Now, what are the basic measurements required in order for you to achieve your pencil skirt with your double layer flay? Now we have our waist measurements, hip measurements, and our skirt length. Our waist measurement is 38 plus 2 divided by 4 plus 2, we have 12 inches. Our hip is 44, we have 44 plus 2 divided by 4 plus 1, we have 12.5. Our skirt length is 46, okay? Our skirt length is 46. Now 46 inches simply means from our waist to our 46 simply means from our waist to the floor. That is where we want our skirt length to be. And of course, note that for our skirts we have the pencil side and we also have our double flay side. Okay, now we'll go ahead and deduct our pencil skirt. That is where we are going to use for our pencil skirt, and then we'll have our double flay. But for our skirt length, now we have 46 inches. We are going to go ahead and deduct what we are going to use for our pencil skirt, and also we'll calculate what we will use for our double flay. Now here we have this simple illustration that just indicates where we have for our pencil skirt, and this is like our double flay. Okay, so we'll go ahead and deduct from our waistline to our knee level, which is going to serve as our pencil skirt. So our skirt length is 46 inches. 46 minus 17 inches, we have 29 inches. Okay, so it simply means that from our waistline to our knee line this way, we have 17 inches, and from our knee line to our skirt length, we have 29 inches. Now that is for the lower side of our skirt. Now, because what we want to achieve is double flay, we'll also go ahead and determine how to calculate the inches for our double flay. Now note that the first flay is usually shorter than the second flay. The first flay, let me just number it. Okay, we have 1, 2. So note that the first flay is usually shorter than the other flay because it kind of flows around like the floor area, right? Now we have 29 inches. We have 29 inches. We'll go ahead and add our sewing allowance to this before we now calculate it, or you can just calculate it and then add your sewing allowance for each piece. Okay, now we have 17 inches for our waist to knee length. We have 17 plus 1 inch. Now, why did we add this 1 inch? We added this 1 inch for our joining allowance because we are going to attach it to our flay with ½ inch, and then we also need ½ inch at this point. Okay, so we have 18 inches. This is what we have. Now for the other part of our skirt where we have 29 inches, we'll go ahead and bring down our 29 inches at this point. Inches, and like I said earlier, I said the first flay is usually shorter than the second flay, so determine how many inches shorter you want the first flay to be. So if you have 29 inches, let's divide our 29 inches by 2. We have 14.5 inches. That is, normally we are supposed to have 14.5 and also 14.5, but because we want the first flay to be shorter, determine how many inches you want it to be. It depends on what you want to achieve at the end of the day. So for me, I want it to be about 4 inches shorter than the shorter than the other one. So my first flay, now I'm going to go ahead and deduct 4 inches for this. So for the first flay, now I'll be having 10.5 because I deducted 4 inches. Now for the second flay, I'll be having 18.5. So this is what we are going to have. I hope you guys understand that. Now let me just come over again in case if you don't understand. We went ahead to, so we said that from our knee length to our skirt length we have 2 flay, and we went ahead and deducted our pencil skirt from our flay, and then we have 29 inches. Now normally if you want to divide Normally, if you want to divide your flare into two, you are going to have 14.5, 14.5. But because the first flare is usually shorter, and I said determine how many inches you want it to be, it depends on you. You can make yours 5 inches shorter, or 4 inches, or 3 inches, or 6 inches. It depends on what you want to achieve. So for me, I went ahead and I deducted 4 inches. So I deducted 4 inches to have 10.5 for the first flare, and then the second flare I have 18.5. So at this point now, yeah, we'll have 10.5. On this second flare now, we'll have 18.5. And for our pencil skirts, we'll have 18 inches. Now you go ahead and add your sewing allowance to it. Now we have 10.5. I will add just 1 inch for the first flare. Why am I adding 1 inch for the first flare? It's because we just need about ½ inch to attach it to this upper part, and if you want to turn it with your lining, we just need about ½ inch. So I'll go ahead and add 1 inch. It means I have 11.5. While for the second flare, I'm going to go ahead and add 2 inches to that, because that is the lower part, and of course we want to hem it to have this sewing allowance effect at the lower part. Okay, so we'll go ahead and add 2 inches. It means we'll have 20.5 inches. Okay, so I hope you guys understand. Feel free to drop your questions in the comment section. Any topics you want us to create a video on, feel free to drop that in the comment section. Okay, so now let's move straight into the fabric. To do now is we are going to go ahead and mark our basic measurements. So we have our waist to upper hip 6 inches, waist to lower hip 8 inches, waist to our knee length I'm going to be using 18 inches. So we have waist to our upper hip 6 inches, lower hip 8 inches, our knee length 18 inches, and we go ahead and connect the lines together. But we are going to have now, because the lower part of our skirt is going to be double flare, so we only need from our waistline to our knee area. So once we are done with that, we'll go ahead and mark our dart measurement, which is 4.5. On the upper hip, we'll go ahead and mark 4.5. Now the essence of this upper hip is to enable us know where our dart line is going to end, right? We'll go ahead and connect it together. On our waistline, we'll mark ½ inch on both sides. We'll go ahead and connect it together. So this is what we are going to have. Now we'll go ahead and mark our waist measurement, which is 12 inches. Mark our waist measurement, which is 12 inches. On our hip line, we'll go ahead and mark our hip measurement, which is 13 inches. We'll go ahead and mark our hip measurement, which is 13 inches. Now on our knee length, we are going to go ahead and deduct 2 inches from it. So on our hip line, we have 2 inches. We'll deduct 2 inches, so we have 11 inches. I will go ahead with my pattern master, which is available at our store, and I will connect the lines together. So this is what we are going to have. So I will go ahead and cut this out. So for the back block, we also have our basic line, which is waist to upper hip 6 inches, lower hip 8 inches, and up to our knee length. So the next thing we are going to do now is we are going to go ahead and mark our zip allowance, which I'll be making use of 1.5 inches. I will go ahead with my pattern master and connect the lines together. Once I'm done with that, I will go ahead and mark my dart measurement, which is 4.5, but I'll be starting from where we have our zip allowance. On my upper hip, I will go ahead and mark 4.5. Done with that, I will connect the lines together. On my waistline, I will go ahead and mark ½ inch on both sides. I'll connect it together. I will go ahead and mark my waist measurement, which is 12 inches. I'll mark my hip measurement. Now on our knee length for the front block, we marked 11 inches, so we are still going to maintain that for the back block also. So this is what we have. Now I'll go ahead with my pattern master and connect the lines together. So I'll go ahead and cut this out. So for the upper block, this is what we are going to have for the upper block of our skirt, right? Which is just like our basic pencil skirt. So for the upper part, we have our basic pencil skirt. We'll go ahead and set this aside. Then we'll mark our double flare. So I'll be making use of these African prints, and African prints are available at our store. So this is what it looks like. So I'll go ahead and fold my fabric into 4. I've gone ahead to fold my fabric into 2, and I'm folding it again in a triangular shape into 4, so that we can have like the length of what we want. So this is what it looks like. Now the next thing we are going to do now is to go ahead and use our hip measurement, which is 42 inches. So 42 divided by 4, we have 10.5. So we'll go ahead and check where we have 10.5. So we have 10.5 around this point. So we go ahead and mark that. So you place your tape measure from this point to where you can have what you want. We have 15 inches. So you take it this way, we have 15. And then you take it this way, you have 15. So you go ahead and connect the curves together. Once you're done with that, make sure you also check to be sure you can have what you want in the curve, right? So we've done that. Now from this curve, go ahead and get your length, that is the length of your flare. So I want about 32 inches. Is actually very long, so I'll go ahead and mark my 32 inches. So now I'll go ahead and place my tape measure from this point. Go ahead and place my tape measure from this point up to where I can have my 32 inches, which is about 46 inches. So I'll just take my tape measure this way. So I'll go ahead and place my tape measure at this point to have my total length. I have about 44 inches. So I'll just take my tape measure this way. Go ahead and mark my 44 inches. So at the end of the day, I will have a curve at this lower part also. Now from this curve, go ahead and mark your flare length. So we have 28 inches. You take it this way, mark where you have 28 inches. So you place it at this other side also. Mark where you have 28 inches. So go ahead and connect the curves together. So you have like a round curve also. So this is how to cut your half flare. So we'll go ahead and cut out this round shape and we'll also cut out this upper part. So once I'm done with that, I'll show you guys what it looks like. Once you are done with that, this is what we have. You can see our half flay. So we'll go ahead and notch this point. After notching it, we'll set this aside. Upper part of our flay, where we have the full flay, the difference between that is you go ahead and fold your fabric into 2 this way, and then you fold it again into 4. Now, because what we want to achieve here is a shorter length, so this form of flay is possible. So we'll go ahead and mark our hip measurement, which is 10.5. Indicate where you can have your 10.5. So go ahead and mark what you have from here to, we have 7. Once you are done with that, go ahead and check your curve to be sure you can have your hip measurements. So from this point here, we have about 15 inches. We'll take it this way. So from the upper part to this point, we have 23 inches. So we'll take it this way to mark our 23 inches. Place your tape measure at this point. Take it this way. Mark 23 inches. Mark 23 inches. So we'll go ahead and connect the curve together. So we also have one curve at this part and this other curve. So we'll go ahead and this is what we have. So this is what it's going to look like. You can see this part is short and we have longer one this way. So we'll go ahead and set this. So for the upper part where we have our pencil skirt effect, we've gone ahead to fold our fabric into 2. Place your pattern this way and then we'll cut this out. So for the back block also, we've gone ahead to fold our fabric into 2. We'll place our pattern this way and then we'll cut it out to give us 2 pieces for the back block. The back block will have 2 pieces. We'll go ahead and cut out all the lining and I'll show you guys what next we have to do. We've gone ahead to cut out the lining for every of the pieces. So we are going to go ahead and place the lining this way, stitch this upper part, stitch the down part, and you use this lower part to turn it out. Once we are done with that, I would also do the same for both the back block and the front block, and I'll show you guys what next we have to do. It's for our flay. I've gone ahead to iron paper stay, the soft one, just to give it like a form of structure. So I'm going to go ahead and use my lining. I've stitched this part of it. So I'll go ahead and use my lining and turn it. So once you turn it, this is what you are going to have. You can see how it's turned and you can see our lining moved up a little because while we're cutting the lining was shorter than the fabric with about ½ inch. So you can see what it looks like. So I'll just go ahead and give it a nice press so it can lay well. So after turning it with lining, you can see what we have. So the next thing we are going to do now is to go ahead and mark 4½ inches and then we'll stitch our darts. We'll do the same for both the back block and the front block. So guys, once you are done turning it, for the back block you go ahead and stitch it together and you fix your zip to give you a single piece, okay? Once you are done with that, now we are going to go ahead with our waist measurement. Our waist measurement, we have For our waist measurements, we have 46. So we'll go ahead and divide it by 2. We have 23 inches. So from your 23 inches, we have about 26 inches. That is, we have 3 inches left. So you go ahead and divide the 3 inches on both sides. So we have 1.5. Then on this point, we also have 1.5, right? So measurements. For our hip measurements, we'll also go ahead and divide our hip measurement by 2. Once we are done with that, we have about 2 inches. So we divide the 2 inches on both sides. We have 1 inch on this part and we have 1 inch on this part, right? So we'll go ahead and connect this together. So once we'll go ahead and stitch this part to give us a single piece. Once I'm done with that, I'll show you guys how to attach our flare to the lower side. After joining it, we have our complete skirt. This is what it looks like, but at the back block we left about 2 inches. Now for our flare, this is the first flare you can see, and this is the second flare. So I've gone ahead to pin them together so that it can stick together to be one single flare. So go ahead and pin them up so that you can have one single flare. Then I will go ahead and stitch my flare round my pencil skirt. After stitching it round, I'll show you guys what it looks like.